Hey everyone, I'm Stefanie Mullen from RampantDesignTools.com, and today I'm going to talk all about Rampant Studio Ink 2 and show you a few techniques that will get you up and running and allow you to get the most out of your ink effects in Premiere Pro. Now before I start, if you are not familiar with Rampant Studio Ink 2, check the links in the description to see the product. Ink 2 is designed to add soft organic ink effects to your video content. These ink effects are so easy to use and I'm going to show you how. Alright, let's jump back over to Premiere and get started using the ink effects. And today I'm going to be showing you these techniques right here. I'm going to show you how to do a quick image reveal, a color reveal, we're going to add a really cool title reveal, and then I'm going to put it all together and show you how to create this right here. Okay, now these techniques are all really simple to use, and once you master the track mat, there's no stopping what you will create with your next video production. Okay, the very first thing we need to do is import our ink effects into Premiere. Well, how do we do that? Well, it's really easy. Our ink effects are MOV files, so we're going to import them just like any other video footage, and we're going to be importing them right here into our project window. Now there are a few ways you can do that. You can right click, click import this way. You can go up here to File, you can import this way right here, or if you're like me, you can drag and drop your files into your project. So I'm going to do that. I'm working on a PC, but our ink effects will work on both Mac and PC. So no matter what you're working on, you'll be able to use our effects. Now to drop these in, all we're going to do is we're going to select them both, and we're going to drag them, and we're going to drop them, and you're going to see they're importing, and there they are right there. Okay, very, very simple. Drag them, drop them, or import through your file manager. However you like to import your video footage, just import it into your project and you're ready to go. All right, now that we have imported the effects, let's talk about what we are seeing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open one of these up, and I'm going to actually open it into its own window, and I'm going to switch the view to the icon view right here. Okay, and as you will see right here, everything looks blank. Why can't I see an effect? Well, I'm going to double click on this one. I'm going to show you. Right here. Now you're going to think, oh no, all of my ink effects are disappeared. They're not there. Well, it's actually not true. They are there. These are black effects on a transparent background. They have an alpha channel. So Premiere reads the alpha channel as a black background. So right now we can't see the effect. Well, how do I know it's there? I can come over here to this little wrench and I can click on this, and I can click on this little thing that says alpha. There they are. All right, so there's my effect right there. Now you'll have to change this back. You can't keep this on alpha to use in your project, but it's an easy way to see your ink effect right there. So let's change that back to composite video. Another really cool thing that Rampant has included with this is something called a preview sheet. So if I go back here, you'll see that there's also a PDF included. If I double click this, and I pull this over, this is a preview sheet of all of the ink files that are included in this product. This is a really easy way to quickly go through and see if you find your ink drops or ink flows that you really like. I love this. It makes life really, really easy. Okay, so remember, these are black effects on a transparent background, so that's going to appear that they're blank, but they're not. All right, let's jump back over to our Premiere. So I'm going to close this out so we don't have all that extra open. So now we have our ink in here and we're ready to go. And our very first example is going to be a very simple image reveal. So I have these girls right here blowing bubbles, and I'm going to actually cut this out a little bit. I'm going to start a little bit sooner. So here we are. Here's our footage. All right, it's very cool footage. So let's use some of our ink to reveal this image. Well, how do we do that? Well, we have our footage already in our timeline, and I'm going to be using an ink flow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my ink flows, and I am going to pull this down so you can see the title, and I'm going to be using ink flow number 1. So if I double click this, and I turn on the alpha, here's what it looks like. All right, so it's this really cool flow. I love it, so pretty. I love the way that looks. All right, turn that back off to composite video. We're gonna drag it from here and we're gonna place it onto our timeline. Now these flows and ink drops are very large files. I mean, as far as it goes with length. So if you don't want anything to be cut off in your video, you can always bring this into your editor up here, mark an out point, and then drag it from here, and it's going to be a lot smaller. So if you have an edit going on, you don't want to override anything. So I like to create an out point just like that. And then we can fix it to fix the length to match our video clip. All right, so here's what we have so far. We have this. And that is really, really gorgeous. Now, the only thing that I'm seeing is it's not filling my frame, right? We actually want this to be pretty full. We at least want our talent here to be in the ink. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to speed this up a little. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to click on speed duration, and I'm going to put in, like, I don't know, 300%, and then we're going to have to extend it out, and let's see if it covers them. So almost. So let's speed it up a little more, and then let's see what we got. So now the ink is covering them, and that's perfect. All right, so now we have our ink flow. Looks like this. which is beautiful. I love the way that looks. All right, so now how do we get the image inside the ink? Well, we're going to use a track mat. So we're going to come over here to our effects. We're going to type in the word TRACK, and we're going to add our track mat to our video footage. Remember, do not add it to your effect, add it to your video footage. So drag, drop, and then we're going to come to our effect controls, and we're going to tell the mat, the track mat key right here, where the mat is living. And currently the mat is living on layer 2. So select layer 2, and there you go. So now we have this really cool image reveal, just like that. Okay? I love the way that looks, and actually, we can actually reposition this a little bit. Let's make it go up a little. These are 4K files. The ink are 4K files. I'm working in an HD timeline, so you can have the position, you can change position, scale, and all that stuff. All right, I love the way that looks. Perfect. Now, in my example, I didn't have black in the background. Well, how do we get rid of that? We're going to add a color back there. So what I'm going to do, now don't get freaked out, I'm going to move all of these layers up one layer, because we're going to put a background down here on the bottom. And if you notice now, it's gonna, you lost that track mat. Okay, so now we have to tell the track mat it's on layer 3. Boom. Okay, shoo, it's all back. All right, so let's go ahead and add a color in the background. How do we do that? Well, let's go back to our project. And I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna select new item, and I'm gonna click color mat. You want the video settings are gonna match what your project is, so say okay. And then I'm gonna choose a color, and I'm gonna actually choose this background color up here, this pink. Say okay. And let's just call this pink color mat. Say all right, it's going to be in our project window. Now all we do is drag this to our project, and then we just extend it out. All right, so now we have this really cool pink with the reveal. It's beautiful. I love it. All right, and that's the very first example, a very simple image reveal using an ink flow with a background. Okay, let's move on to example number 2. And we're going to be doing a color reveal. So we're going to go from a black and white image to a color image. How are we going to do that? So, well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to cut some of this video off. Let's just start it here. All right, here's our image. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make a duplicate of this video. So I'm going to hold down Alt on the PC, Option on the Mac, and we're going to drag up. So now I'm going to have 2 layers. We're not going to worry about this bottom layer right now. We're only going to worry about the top. And on this one, I'm going to use ink drops instead of ink flows. So let's go back to our ink, and I'm going to open up the ink drops folder here. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab one and place it on top. Remember, if you have other footage here, you may want to use the ins and outs so you don't override anything. I'm just going to delete that off. All right, so here's our first drop. Looks pretty cool. And we can move that around. So I can say, we want to make sure we cover most of them. Actually, let's just start over here. I'm going to cover their faces. I definitely want their faces to be in color when we go from black and white to color. All right, so there's our first one. Now, I really like this number 4, so let's go ahead and duplicate that up again. Just hold down Alt on the PC, Option on the Mac, and then we can reposition this one. I can actually rotate it around so it looks a little different. Remember, we want their faces to be shown, so let's go ahead and hold down Alt or Option again and drag up. Let's make another clip, and let's drag it out. Let's rotate it again. All different directions. We can get creative here. Okay. So it looks pretty good. I like the way these are going. Let's make this, there we go. And then let's go ahead and grab another ink drop. Let's throw it on. Remember, if you want to do the ins and outs for your clip, that's what you should do. All right, so then we've got our next clip. Let's go ahead and move it around. It's a little bit smaller. So let's get this guy over here in the right-hand corner. We don't have him yet. And let's actually rotate this so that little drop comes out. All right. Looks really nice. And let's just keep adding. Let's add another one. Let's just go ahead and grab number 9. Drag that on. We're going to cut the extra off. Get rid of this. And number 9 is here. So let's put that down maybe like right here. All right. So now everybody has, actually, let's put it on his hand with the phone. That's kind of a neat shot. All right. Something like that. So now everybody has, their faces are all have ink on them. This is where the reveal is going to happen, and we're good. Now we can work with the timing if we want. If we don't want all of these coming in at the same time, especially that one that we copied a whole bunch of times, we can move our playhead and we can change just the position of these. That's going to change the timing. Just like that. And then, so now we have something that looks like this. And let's just change this timing as well. So now, bloop, 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 bloop. That looks really pretty. Okay, everybody with me? All I did was put a bunch of our ink drops on there, and just to cover up all the video that we have here that we want to be in color versus black and white. So all we need to do now is we need to nest all of these inks together. So let's just select them all and right click, say nest. We're happy with that animation. There's our ink nest. So everything is right here, bloop, like that. All right, now all we have to do is add a track matte. So we're going to add a track matte to our video layer here. So let's go back to our effects panel, drag our track matte to our video, and then go up to our effect controls and tell our track matte key that our matte is laying on layer 4. Now it doesn't appear that anything happened because we haven't done anything to this bottom layer. This is going to be our background layer. So all we need to do now is create a black and white layer. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to get rid of our track in our effects panel. I like to come over here to the Lumetri presets. I like to click on Monochrome, and I like to just grab this one that says Monochrome Normal Contrast, drag that to the bottom, and there you go. All right, now you will see that where all of the ink drops are is going to be colored. It's showing the colored video here. And then where the ink drops are not laying, there's going to be black and white. So let's rewind that and watch that go through. And there you go. There's this really cool video. If I want to pull this back a little bit more to keep the black and white, there you go. You have this really cool color reveal. I love the way that looks. Let's give it a little bit more timing. There you go. And then you can adjust the ink drops, or you can add more ink drops in. You can speed them up. You can do all kinds of things to the ink, which is really, really nice. All right, that's example number 2. Let's keep moving on to example number 3. And this one's going to be a title reveal. So first thing we need to do is we need to make a title. Well, this is super easy. Let's go to our title tool, and we're going to type in a title here. And I'm just going to say a cool title reveal by Stefanie Mullen. And then we can work with the titles if we open up the Essential Graphics panel. And we can edit the title here. We can change the fonts. So let's go ahead and do that. I like Babus New. We're going to change them both to book. And then I'm going to change this to bold. And then we're going to work on the scale. So let's make it nice and large. And let's adjust the scale here. And then we will adjust the there we go. Just the leading. There we go. So there we go. Now we have a cool title right there. And I'm just going to shrink this up a little more so we have a little more space. All right, so there's our title. Pretty simple. And we can center this. Okay, now we're good. So we have our title. So we want to reveal this title. If I make it a little longer here. We want to reveal this title with our ink. How are we going to do that? Okay, well, first we're going to do is I'm going to grab some textures, and I'm going to be using textures from Rampant's Texture Toolkit. You can check the links in the description if you would like to purchase that toolkit. There are a ton of great textures in there like paper, paint, watercolors, but you can of course make your own as well. You can scan some stuff in or take a picture, and then you can have a really cool texture by yourself. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our texture. So go back to our project. I'm going to take this down. Our textures are right here. And if I double click these, you will see these textures are here. Right, there's one, there's a paper, there's a whole bunch of paper and watercolor and stuff in the texture toolkit. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these papers. Let's just grab a cool one that we like. I like this first one, this parchment looking paper. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to shrink all this down a little bit, and I'm going to bring this in like this. All right, now the very first thing I want to say before we work with this title, I'm going to move this title away, is the textures in the texture toolkit are huge. They're massive. So you can have a lot of displays. So watch, if I scale down, we are now at 19%. Okay, so that tells you how big these files are. If for my computer, maybe your computer as well, you will see that this red line is here. This is going to bring my computer down to its knees. So what I like to do with textures and backgrounds, if they're huge, is I like to take a screen capture of them. So here I have this paper. I like this size. If I wanted to keep it zoomed in, I could like get more of the texture, but I like to resize it to where I like it. So I'm going to say right about there, and then I want to reposition it if I want to. So maybe I want to get more of this darker paper over here. That's first. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click this button that says Export Frame. I'm going to click on that. It's going to have a title here. You can change that if you want, but the most important thing here is I want to import into this project. So I click that, I say OK, and you will see that it's imported right here. Now this frame that's just imported is a 1920 by 1080 frame, which means it's going to be a lot more friendly for my computer. So I can now delete this frame and bring over our little 1920 frame, and now look at it, it's yellow. Okay, so that's going to be a lot easier for your computer. If your computer doesn't have any issues, don't worry about it, but it's a quick and simple way to get rid of those big backgrounds and big textures and make them a little bit more usable for your computer. All right, so here's our paper background. Let's just grab our title, and here's our title. So now we've got our background and our title. Now we have to bring up for our watercolor, and I'm going to use a watercolor texture. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that and bring that in. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to make a side, actually let's put it on top of here, just like this. And you will see now that we have to reside. Remember, this is a texture, so I want to rescale. And I like to find some of this cool watercolor looking texture over here. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit. That looks pretty cool. Okay, now I'm going to drag this over here again. Now that we have this, remember these are huge textures, so I'm going to take a screenshot. Before I do that, I want to change the color. I don't want this to be black and white. So I'm going to come to my effects. I'm going to add a tint to the watercolor, and I'm going to drag it on there. And then I'm going to change the black to, I don't know, maybe a blue. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that's really pretty. All right, that's perfect. So if I put this under here, you can see what the title looks like. That's pretty cool. Actually, let's make it a little darker since we have that white. There we go. That's really nice. Maybe I'll just work with this blue a little longer. All right, that's pretty cool. And you can also do the white as well if you say you wanted to do so like a lighter blue. It doesn't have to be white. You can make it this purple. You'll see it change like that. Okay, I actually like the white. I want to keep the white paper. That is perfect for me. I love that way that watercolor back there looks. All right, so bring that over here. Put your playhead over the watercolor. And again, we're going to do this export frame option right here. Make sure we click import into project, say OK. Go back to our project window, and there it is. So we're going to delete this one, and we're going to bring in our nice small one that we can work with. And there we go. All right, so now we have this title with watercolor and a paper background. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and grab our ink flow now because we want to have a flow that reveals this title. So open up my ink flows, and I'm going to be using ink flow number 9, which let me show you what this one looks like. Put the alpha on. This is one that goes right through the middle, so it's like, okay, which is fantastic for a title reveal. So let's go ahead and put that on back on composite video, and we're going to make it, let's just make an out point here, drag it on, and we're going to now have to reposition it. These are 4K files, so we have a lot of room to play. And as you will see, we just need to cover up that title because we want this to come in. So we want it to go like this. All right, perfect. And maybe it can come down just a little bit. All right, I love the way that looks. All right, now we have to add a track matte to this. And what we're going to be track matting is we're going to be track matting the title and the watercolor background. So how do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to nest these together, make them into one video layer, and then we're going to add in the track matte to the nested layer. So we come over to our effects panel, type in the word track, drag our track matte to our nested layer, and now we can say that the ink flow is laying on video layer 4. So now we have this, it'll play through just like that. Okay, and there it is. That is such a cool title reveal, as it says right there. And if you, like I said, if you want to bring the paper out a little bit more, love it. All right, so that's awesome. Now there is one other option that you can do here. If you want to make the ink, make the watercolor look like it's actually on the paper, you can change the blend mode of this nested sequence. So we can change it from normal to say multiply. And now it looks like we have this really cool ink with watercolor coming onto the actual paper. I love the way that looks. It looks so nice. Be great for like a Western or I don't know, any kind of thing that you put it on like a fence background. Anything you want to put there would be really great. All right, perfect. All right, this takes us to our very last part of our training, and we're going to put all of these techniques together with this video here. And I'm going to just shrink this up some, and I'm going to choose, let's see, let's choose her at the beginning. I like where she's walking here. Let's just cut up some of this off. All right. All right, so we have this stock footage right here. All right, looks very nice. We probably don't need all of that. That's great. Let's zoom in a little more. So now let's put all of these techniques together, and we're going to make an ink reveal on a notebook paper. It's really, really cool. So again, let's start with our paper background. So let's just move our video footage up here, and let's go ahead and grab our paper background. So go back to my project. Here's my textures. I know the paper is right here. It's a really cool notebook paper. Again, this is in the texture toolkit, but you can go ahead and take a picture of notebook paper. You can scan a picture of notebook paper. Just make a file that's big enough for your video. So we're in 1080. If you're working in 4K, make sure you have your image of your paper is bigger than 4K. So let's go ahead and drag this in. And we're going to see again, let's put it over here so we can see it. Again, this file is huge. So let's adjust it so we like it. And I'm going to put it about right here. I want to see that little circle, and I'm going to actually scale it down a little. So we have like that. Like I like the two little circles there. That's pretty cool. Or we can make it down, go down a little more. That looks pretty neat. All right. So there's our position. Again, this is a huge file. So I'm going to go ahead and take an export frame, and we're going to say yes. So then we're going to delete this one, and I'm going to pull in my little one, and we're going to make that big. Okay. So now we have our first part is our background. Background is set. Let's put it underneath our video footage. We're good to go. All right, let's talk about our ink drops, and here's our video. So let's go back to our ink. We're doing ink drops this time. I'm going to double click. Actually, we don't need to double click. Let's just open it. Let's close all these. And we're going to do ink drops, and we're just going to start stacking these on top. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one. So let's just grab a number 11. That's a pretty cool one. Ooh, I like that, but let's change it a little bit. But let's rotate it, and let's move it over, and let's scale it down a little bit, rotate a little more. I really like how that looks right in the open in the beginning. So that's pretty nice. Let's roll this back. Ooh, that looks really cool. All right, let's go ahead and grab another drop to fill some more area in. So let's go grab number 14, grab that in, cut the extra off. We don't need this extra. And then we can move this around. This is a little bit larger, so let's go ahead and scale it down. And we can rotate it, which is pretty neat. Move it around. All right, so now we have something that looks like this. Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, why not? Let's add another one. So let's go ahead and add another drop. Let's just scroll down here to number 21, throw that on there. We will cut the extra off. And then we have this. So maybe we'll move it around. Remember, there is no right or wrong for this. It's just wherever you'd like to put it. Maybe we'll do it like this. Scale it down just a little. All right, there we go. That looks pretty good. That's good. Let's do that. Let's do a little bit more of a time. Let's pull this one back. There we go. That looks nice. All right, so we're good. Now we have our ink is set. All we have to do is nest all of our inks together. So let's select all of our inks, right click, nest, say okay. Now we have to add a track mat to our video. Now, if you repositioned your video, let's say you moved your video over like this so that it was positioned inside your ink exactly. If you do that, you're going to have to nest this clip. All right, so just go up here and nest. If you haven't changed any of your motion properties right here, any position, scale, or anything, you don't have to nest it. You can put your track mat directly on your video layer, which I haven't done anything to my video layer, so I can do that. So let's go ahead and add our track mat, say video layer 4, and there we go. Okay, but again, if I moved her down, like say I wanted her to be, I can't really move her down, but I can move her over. If I moved her over on the X a little bit, I'm going to have to nest this and then say okay and put my track mat on the nest itself. Either way, it doesn't matter what you do, but you have to separate. If you move your video, you have to separate that from your track mat because your track mat will follow the motion of your video. All right, so here we go. Now we have our Video layer being revealed. It's so neat. I love the way that looks. All right, now you could stop here. This could be done. Or if you're like me, I like to put the notebook paper on top of the video so it looks like it's actually being written on the paper. All we're going to do is going to grab our bottom texture right here. And all I'm going to do is press Alt on the PC, Option on the Mac, and drag up. And now our notebook paper is on top. Now all we have to do is change the blend mode from normal to multiply, and boom, there you go. And if I rewind this, and there you go. You can put a title over here. You can put some stuff on here to make it look like it's writing on. I mean, Premiere has a bunch of cool built-in effects for text stuff. I love the way this looks. And that's it. Now you know how to get the most out of your ink effects. It makes some really cool examples, some really cool reveals. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Once again, this is Stefanie Mullen with RampantDesignTools.com. Thanks for watching.